ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. Y'all better listen up. This sports talking tough. So if you got a cup, go on and raise it up. I'll raise one with you as we talk about the sports. It's raining stats and rumors. Let us give you the report. This is first 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah.
What is up? What is up? What is up? Welcome back to First and 12, everybody. What an interesting week of college football. What a bunch of shakeups. What a bunch of missed opportunities. In the long run, when you look at it, there's more missed opportunities this past weekend than some accomplished. I mean, you got Alabama fumbling and dropping to OU. You got Indiana dropping to Ohio State. You got A&M dropping to Auburn. Kansas showing up and punching Colorado in the mouth. Everybody just decided, hey, this is the week we're going to really set this 12-team playoff ablaze, and it is something to look at and wonder how it's going to play out. Especially with the early morning start off, like we touched on Coffee and Cover 2, with Indiana dropping to Ohio State the way they did. It kind of looked like Indiana was out of it. It was like, oh, okay, well, Indiana's not going to be a playoff team now. And then, wait, here comes Ole Miss, and Jackson Dart just says, "Yeah, we're going to throw our college football playoff opportunities away, not once but twice," which is crazy the more and more you think about it. Texas takes care of business 31-14. Quinn looked good, 20 of 31 outside of the third quarter where there were some issues with fumbling the ball. Quinn did tweak his ankle. I think they said it was a mild ankle sprain, but it limited him, and it showed. Kind of affected the rest of the game for a good little bit until Sark just decided, hey, guess what, we're a running team, and ran the ball for 18 straight plays. Just that's it. Not a single pass play whatsoever to close it out. But hey, sometimes that's what you got to do to just end the game when you need to and walk away with a victory. The other ones we'll touch on, Bama OU. I mean, I just, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I look at it, I don't know what to think about this game whatsoever. Miro just kind of looked confused and kind of didn't know what he was doing. It looked like a lot of the time. Anytime he tried to scramble, it seemed like he had 2 or 3 people on him, and he was always going down. And then Oklahoma decided they were a running team and literally ran all over them to the point that I think Jackson Dart only finished the game with 68 passing yards.
Yeah. 9 for 11 for 68 passing yards. That's the thing. Milroe is mediocre. He has like a dozen examples of this throughout his career in big moments. And then Bama's defense is bad. It's just like they beat the hell out of Mercer, and everybody got to thinking Bama was the best team in the country again.
I mean, Jackson Arnold had 68 passing yards. I think he carried it 25 times, though.
Yeah, 100
he had 25 carries.
Yeah. 25 carries, 5.2 per carry, 131 rushing yards, 28 was his long, no touchdowns. They had 260 rushing yards as a team, 49 carries.
That goes. We'll take that directly into next week with the question of honest question, Buddha. How worried are you about this OU team coming into Death Valley, especially after showing a running game like that?
Not even remotely. So here's the deal, and you're gonna do this thing. LSU's run defense is pretty fucking good. They're bad against the quarterback run.
Yeah,
I'm not concerned with any running back in America against LSU's defense. It's the running quarterback. Now, I do think Jackson Arnold still cannot pass the ball. And like we look at these numbers he put up, they still scored 24 points. I don't think Oklahoma can stop the pass against LSU because LSU's not like Alabama's offense was predicated based on can Miro create with his legs and get in a rhythm. He's the ultimate rhythm player in college football. If he doesn't get in a rhythm, he's not very good. I think LSU's going to be able to throw the ball. I think Oklahoma scores points, but I think this game is I think also the home crowd is advantage LSU, and I still don't think OU's good. Like I don't think we can be a prisoner of the moment. I think like SJ said, people kind of way overhyped Alabama. I'm not really that concerned with this game. I was more concerned with the Vandy game. Because one thing OU's not going to do, they're not going to milk the clock. So since they made the offensive coordinator change, that's one thing they've done a little bit different is that they won't run as many plays as they would. They started to run a few less plays. So we talked about this when we were together, SJ and I did. The tough thing with these teams like Vandy or Kentucky is they kind of make you feel like you're playing from behind the opening kick, because if they get the ball, they're just going to sit on it. So you have to score. I don't feel that way about OU. I think it's a relative shootout. I don't think they can stop LSU's passing offense.
I agree 100% on that. Like LSU is kind of similar to Georgia, maybe a little worse in that area with running quarterbacks. And Jalen Milroe is this elite athlete with blazing speed. So same thing with kind of Marcel Reed, really fast, and they didn't have an answer for it. They don't have the personnel for it. Jackson Arnold's not Jalen Milroe as a runner by any stretch of the imagination. And last time I checked, Williams ain't running out of that tunnel either. I think Oklahoma's defense outscored Alabama's offense, and there was a terrible ball on Williams, but I don't see that happening at all. I think LSU's passing game is way too good. I think their offensive line is good. They're going to protect the quarterback really well, and I don't think it's the same situation where he's not going to be able to find receivers or go through his progressions the way that Milroe can't do.
Got you. That'll be interesting to watch. What time is kickoff on Saturday for y'all? Let's see.
6:30. It's a night game. I think back to Jackson Arnold. If you want to compare him to another running quarterback, he's probably more comparable to Jackson Dart. Like, he's probably the same type of runner as Jackson Dart. You can kind of look at how LSU handled Dart. Like, he got his a little bit. The scheme won't even be close to as good as the Ole Miss scheme was. It's a night game. The crowd should be really good. I think LSU handles business.
Got it. What channel are y'all on? Are y'all on?
It's either ESPN or SEC Network.
I was trying. Yeah, 6:00. So Texas kicks off 30 minutes after that. And then the other one that we're going to look at is we'll get on Texas A&M last. Notre Dame's got a big one against USC. It's a rivalry game. We'll see what USC team shows up. If Lincoln Riley can put a squad together to maybe upset Notre Dame's year, but I don't know if that happens. I just don't. We haven't really seen. I don't think we've seen enough out of USC to see them probably come in here and punch Notre Dame in the mouth to do anything, in my point of view. How do y'all feel about it?
No, me personally, after kind of watching Notre Dame fall off in that Northern Illinois game, which was a fluke anyways. Their passing defense, is one of the best units in the country, and I'm very confident in saying that. We really haven't had anyone come into our house or we go anywhere else, and they've really destroyed us on the pass. The only time we really got killed again was running, and really, you've seen what we've done with the dual threat option quarterbacks in both Navy and Army. I get it. This year they've played really well, but for the most part, we came in, handled business, and I really don't think we're going to have too much of an issue with USC. USC this year, I had high hopes on them after their very first game of the year against LSU. I thought they were going to come out, be a great team, but very abysmal effort coming out of SoCal there. So I'm not necessarily worried, but again, it's a rival game. Anything can happen. So I think as long as we control the pass like we've done all year, I don't really think we're going to run into too many issues with Miller Moss and that squad they've got over there, because they definitely have a lot of kinks they need to get ironed out and worked out. So
yeah, it's like Lincoln Riley finally fielded a defense that at least doesn't just fold like a lawn chair, and they're just not the same offensively this year. They've only scored 35 points or more 3 times. It's against Utah State, Rutgers, and who else? Utah State, Rutgers, and Wisconsin. So they just haven't played up to standard of what Lincoln Riley's offense, what his MO has always been. And so that's why I don't really think that they could pull off the upset to Notre Dame, because Notre Dame can win these low scoring games. That's what they do. They're going to play really good defense. They've been taking care of the ball as opposed to earlier in the year where they had some struggles. And I just think that this is tailored for Notre Dame to go in there and win in a boring fashion, but they're going to win.
in
And I
Oklahoma.
mean, I do think another thing that's going to help them out too is I think Miller Moss may try to take a couple shots early in the game, and again, I think our pass defense is going to be able to pick that off, make it a short field for us, and we're going to capitalize on our run offense like we have the whole time. I mean, obviously, as you guys know, Riley Leonard does not like to throw the ball. When he does, he's not bad at it, but we'd much rather run. And with the running attack we have this year, I think it's kind of a foregone conclusion that we should come out of this game at least by 14 or more. I think.
Yeah, and before we even get into Saturday's games, we still got a big one that I was going to mention before we even got started that could shake up the playoffs even more so with Georgia Tech going to Georgia. Georgia Tech's a dangerous team. If they control the clock and get ahead of Georgia, hey, more chaos will ensue. Of course, it'll keep Georgia in the SEC championship, but still, if they take a loss here, then they're for sure out of playoff contention. Um, and touching on that, there's so many teams with losses in the SEC. It's kind of like who's going in and who's getting left out. I think they said if Texas does drop to A&M, they're still going to get in because they'll only have 2 losses from all the other shakeups that's going on. Whether that happens or not, we'll have to see how it plays out. But then you got the SEC championship game out of whoever it's going to be, whether it's A&M and Texas, or whether it's A&M and Georgia or Texas and Georgia.
Well, the thing is Georgia's in. This isn't an SEC game this weekend, so Georgia's in. They could lose to
Yeah,
Georgia Tech in the SEC championship. They're going to give them a bye.
yeah,
Yeah, they're locked in. I don't know. I think Texas favored more than almost anybody in the country with everybody losing this past weekend.
Yeah.
Because I really thought if those games would have went, if the favorite team would have won all those games and Texas were to lose this weekend, I think they'd have a hard argument to say they should be in. Now I think it's pretty much locked unless the crazy world in which A&M would boat race them and you'd get pummeled, right? Like I think that's the only world that you'd start to have some issues, but I think Texas is a lock in the playoff. Is
Mm-hmm.
where I would put them at now.
I agree.
yeah. I agree as well.
Like Alabama losing like that, the way it happened, it just Indiana getting blown out too. Texas needs to be competitive. I think they win. Obviously, we'll talk about it, but it just as long as you don't get blown out, you're in the playoffs.
Yeah. And we can talk about it now. It's the big one. It's the one that, yeah, like we said before we got on, it's the hottest ticket in sports right now. The most expensive ticket in sports, even over NFL games right now. Everyone's going to be in the cow pasture that is College Station for it too. We'll see how it plays out. I'm very confident in it. I've been confident since the get go, since last week. I've been talking about it nonstop. Still think we have the best defense in the nation, and don't really fear anything against A&M. Kind of like Buddha said on Coffee and Cover 2. I don't see how they're going to score. Like I don't see how many. I think Texas will put up points, and then it'll be hard for A&M to answer with the defense that we'll be fielding. But we'll see. Crazy things have been happening all year. So how do y'all feel about it?
I think that they're going to kick the ball off. They're going to play it. You're going to get the most motivated Aggies team of all time. I think it'll be the loudest atmosphere probably ever in college football history. And yet the Texas Longhorns are a lot better than this A&M team. I think for A&M to win, you need a lopsided turnover battle. You need a field position battle, similar to Georgia, but more so. Because, like you said, this defense is so good, and specifically against what A&M is going to try to do and we get their quarterback going in the running game, open up the passing game. We've just been lights out against that all year long. I think it continues in A&M. They just historically fell in these spots. What they do. This is a big moment, just like they historically fell on a letdown spot like last week. They don't know how to handle it. They're already chirping in the media, saying silly things. They're coming off of a loss, and they're chirping guys like Anthony Hill Jr., probably not the right guy. And then they're also talking they feel bad for us because what the atmosphere is going to be like. This is a team, at the end of the day, that 40 plus guys on this roster have gone to Tuscaloosa and won. They've won Big House and won. They've won in Fayetteville. They've won in Stillwater, Oklahoma. They've won in a lot of hostile areas. Now, this might trump all of those spots, but it's an experienced team that's played in big games with a lot of pressure and a lot on the line, and they've come through more times than they have not. Whereas A&M, nobody on the roster that's been in a game like this in their life. This is the biggest game on every player on the A&M's roster. It's the biggest game in program history for them. And I think that this is just a spot that they're known to fail for. A&M, God hates A&M. I've always, there's 100 years of evidence that God doesn't like the Aggies. Nothing goes right for them. In these moments, they fell and they get humiliated. And I think that this Texas team is just way too good and matches up too perfectly to lose this game.
I don't think A&M can win this game. I think the avenue for them to have a W on the deal is Texas to beat themselves. I think what's going to be extremely pivotal in this game is Texas survive the storm the first 5 or 6 minutes. I think the way this thing could go south quick is you throw a pick early, you have a fumble early, which we've seen Texas, that kind of reared its head a little bit against Kentucky. The only way I envision this thing not going to Texas is if they shoot themselves in the foot early and they allow that crowd to just become a jungle. Because it's going to be going crazy. So if Quinn throws a pick early or you get a fumble early and A&M takes a lead, it's going to become extremely difficult to play in that environment.
Yeah.
The way the Georgia game played out for Texas is the only way I see them losing, is just giving it away constantly.
Yeah. Like taking football, playing situational football. Like you got to understand, you're obviously going to go for the throat. If you're Texas, you're not going to be conservative on offense, but a 3-and-out punt beats the hell out of a turnover every day of the week against this A&M team.
Without a question.
Defense. Understand you got the best defense in America, or at least the best in the conference, and the best defense on the field on Saturday night. Don't put them in a bad position. They're not going to put you in a bad spot. Don't put them in a bad spot, and you'll win this game. Now, by how many style points, the time will tell. If we're able to hit the gas pedal at some point on them, I think that the A&M defense, it's good, but it's beatable. I think LSU was getting that defense. There's been multiple teams on 40-plus on that defense. So, they're definitely beatable. I think we got the speed to get behind them and get going offensively, especially if the running game, they take care of it, continues to run the ball like they did last week. The offensive line gets that type of push, but just take care of the football first and foremost, because you can count on your defense to take. Don't do anything silly. Kill it, punt it away if you have to, and that's fine.
All I'm going to say and touch on this is if Notre Dame's abysmal offense can go into College Station and win that game, again, the atmosphere is going to be ignorant as shit, of course, because it's a rivalry game. But if Notre Dame, who has Riley Leonard, who can't throw a fucking football to save his ass, Quinn Ewers can go in there with a bummed up ankle and win that damn game. I really don't see any issues for you guys. And I'm not going to beat a dead horse here, like Buda and Shoney have both covered. Don't make a stupid turnover, and you guys will control, again, referencing a video game here, but you're going to be controlling that stadium pulse the whole time, and you guys will be fine. Just got to breathe through it, and if you have to run the damn ball, if you need to throw it and run a fucking screen pass. You guys have enough good tight ends and athletic players you could toss out there in a set and then run some screen plays. You guys have enough speedy receivers and shit. You guys could make a play out of nothing. So
Right.
I think you guys got it perfectly fine. Just your defense is going to come out and play. Just make sure you turn over the ball well on the defensive end and don't do anything stupid offensively. So that's all I got there.
This might be a clip for you. Don't forget that this A&M crowd will give up.
Yeah.
They will give up. This is not a crowd that understands winning. This is a crowd that no matter what they want to say, they expect to lose.
Yeah.
If you get them in a spot, which I'm telling you, I watched it happen. LSU had a chance to end the fight, and they didn't. They let them punch back. If you get them in a spot to end it and go up 24-7, go up 21-3, the crowd will die. They'll be done. The crowd will start leaving the state. If it's 21-3 in the third quarter, that crowd becomes irrelevant. They will give up because they're not expecting to win no matter what they say. Because as soon as it goes downhill for them, they're going to go, here we go again. You got to go for the knockout punch when it presents itself. Don't go for it in the first quarter. Go for it in the third quarter when it presents itself. If you do it, you'll knock them out. They'll give up.
You nailed it on the head. Nailed it on the head. This A&M is full of generational fucking losers. They've lost their whole life. Grandpa's lost. Their uncle's lost. Their older brother lost. They're losing now. They know nothing but losing. They sit in there. They sing their stupid ass songs. They rock back and forth. They don't walk on the grass. They have 80,000 of the same haircuts and the same ugly girls in the crowd. They're generational fucking losers. And when Daddy steps into College Station, they're going to remember what it was like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. You can't do anything about it. You're little brother, and you've always been little brother, and you carry the aura of being a little brother that nobody ever asked for. And that's exactly right. You go in there, you take care of the ball, you jump, step on their throat, all gas, no brakes, as Sark has always said. This is the perfect moment to recognize the culture you built at Texas versus the culture the other in-state school has built since you've been here. Look at the difference. When we went to, it was announced we were going to the SEC, Sark's first year coming in. Go look at the comments that all the A&M fans are making, all the rest of the SEC fans are making about what's going to happen to Texas 4 years ago. OU included, but specifically A&M and the way they attacked Texas and made fun of our culture, made fun of how soft we were, the T-shirt fans, everything that they all say. They regurgitate the same bullshit over and over again because they have no wit. It's a bunch of farm boys. It's a meat showing school. Show them that they're a meat showing school. You go to A&M to show pig out. Go to A&M to beat Texas to go to the SEC championship. Tell you that for free.
Well put. Well put. And speaking of the conference championships, three of them I've already got their key players in them. So Georgia's in for the SEC. The Texas A&M game will decide who they face. The ACC, SMU set in there, who I still think it doesn't matter who they play. I think SMU is a super dangerous team. I've been big on them since we started this. And then you got in the Big Ten, Oregon's in the driver's seat. Who Oregon plays is going to be interesting because, I mean, Ohio State's got Michigan. We didn't touch on it, but we can touch on it now. Talk about a game that's lost its luster, especially with Texas and Texas A&M playing again. Talk about being overshadowed more than anything else. I mean, it is a early morning game, but you got one ranked team, you got one team that's not ranked. I think
though it can quickly, I mean, it's that this is where the flip side of that, everybody's bashed big noon kickoff all year long. This is probably the perfect week to be big noon kickoff, your big game for them, because you get to halftime and Michigan has condensed this game and they're running the ball with a little bit of success and it's close. Everybody's going to be killing Ryan Day. Nobody more than me myself. I am chomping at the bit to get at crying Ryan, third base, that little weasel rat. He should be in jail for what he did to Connor Stallion. So that's a whole nother story. But if you get to halftime, this is close. I love this game personally. I really do. I've always hated Ohio State. I kind of got a little heart for Michigan. They're like my stepchild team. I love it. I think that with it actually being in that noon kickoff, this could really deliver. If it's just competitive, it delivers.
Yeah, I mean, I think it lost a little bit of its luster, not because of Texas and A&M by any stretch. I think it's because Michigan sucks. Like, let's be real. If Michigan top 10 team, this game would have just as much buzz as any. Like, A&M and Texas didn't take the buzz. Michigan sucking dick took the buzz. Like, that's what's buzz away.
Because like, still be the can they get over the hump? There would be the whole conversation, not included with the playoffs and all that. That's probably Michigan, Ohio State, that's the one I always put right there with Oklahoma, Texas. It's like my favorite rivalry. I like it more than the Iron Bowl. I like it more than a lot of other games, especially really competitive. But Michigan's ass. And so the flip side of that is the reality is this could be the all-time revenge game as well. Like if Ohio State going to that little rat, Ryan Day, he had a QB sneak at the end of the Indiana game. He wants nothing more than to run this puppy up and make it as ugly as it's ever been. So I'm interested for all the different scenarios, including that one. Like I think
that's what I was about to get to do. What happens if Ohio State loses this game?
Ryan Day gets
Ryan Day's gone, and thank God, because I hate that motherfucker. I cannot stand Ryan Day. Oh my God. He cannot win against Michigan. Michigan is his fucking kryptonite. Every freaking year has not beat them once. Oh my God. Anyway, I'm not going to get on that soapbox, but yeah, no, I really hope Ryan Day fucking loses.
They punch his rat face over and over and over again with their big running, and he folds over like a little lawn chair. He is what he looks like. They are who we thought they were. Ryan Day and Ohio State, they still have to show up on Saturday and show that they're tough enough to handle 40 carries right at their face.
I can't wait to watch Will Johnson point at Ryan Day's face again, that little strap, because he's
Is
absolutely
he?
locked up Jeremiah Smith the whole weekend. Cannot wait.
He's playing, right?
Will Johnson?
Yeah.
I'll have to check. I'd imagine.
He's been tracking to play for this game. I know
I
that.
think yeah, he's definitely been tracking to be ready for this one.
It's one for him, for Michigan, for everybody. It's like those guys, Will, Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham, they want to leave undefeated against Ohio State. Like, this is a game where if you get him back, you got those guys. They've already beat Ohio State. Just like he was saying against A&M, obviously Ohio State's not A&M, and they win all the time, but recency bias exists. And, like, what's really happened recently is if they're down 14-0 and Michigan's run the ball well and they're getting Ohio State off the field, Will Howard's struggling, which is very possible. It's going to start to the seed of doubt's going to creep into everybody in the stands, everybody on the sidelines. Ryan the Weasel Day, like, it's going to all creep in. It could happen. This is a national championship for Michigan.
And here's my next question for you: if Ohio State loses that game, how far do they fall in playoff contention? They'll only have 2 losses, but
They'll fall off.
State in the Big Ten championship, right?
what's that?
That
They'll be,
State.
yeah, if they lose, Penn State goes to the Big Ten.
They'll go to like 6 or 7.
I was gonna say, yeah, but I'd say right around there too.
Which might not, that might be your road to the championship, honestly.
Yeah. 2 of the other big ones we'll touch on briefly, and then we'll give our offensive and defensive VPs so far we have. Tennessee Vanderbilt, I think it's going to be a dangerous game for Tennessee just because Vanderbilt's scrappy. They've been scrappy with everybody all year. And that could mess up any hopes Tennessee has as well for the playoffs. That'll be interesting to watch. And then I think one that we're all kind of really tuned into and kind of looking forward to is the South Carolina game. Because if South Carolina beats Clemson, South Carolina may have a right to say, "Hey, we deserve to be in the playoff."
More than Tennessee does.
I definitely think they have a right to say if they beat Clemson.
Yeah.
If they beat Clemson, I'd be shocked if they didn't like sneak in there at that very last spot.
I'll do my part on Twitter and everything else. I think if South Carolina handles Clemson, that should be the third SEC team. I over Tennessee for sure before Tennessee gets to backdoor their way in there. Like, South Carolina is really good. Nobody wants to play South Carolina. They should have beat Bama in reality. They've had all these close games, but right now, the way Sellers is playing and how good that defensive line is, I wouldn't want to play him at Texas with Quinn, honestly, just because if they're able to dial up that pressure like that, that's a scary team to play. I think that is. And if you're going to sit here and say you're putting in the best teams, I'm not even really SEC biased guy. Like, I do believe SEC is easily top to bottom the best conference, but I don't really care. I'm cool with chaos everywhere. I root for college football before I root for anything else. And I think South Carolina is one of the best 12 teams in America.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question before we get to our MVPs. The Big 12. Does the Big 12 get anybody in?
Chaos is ensuing for them right now. Like, it's going to be hard to get Colorado in, right? Like, Arizona State, I think, has a reasonable. If they can make it happen, then I think if Arizona State ends up winning the conference, they'll put Arizona State in over Tulane. Is where I think it would end up falling. I think they would get in over Tulane because Tulane doesn't really have a big game left on the schedule.
Lost to Oklahoma as well. Like,
yeah.
So, that was your big moment, and you lost. Boise State, although they lost to Oregon, it was a hair away from upsetting Oregon, So it's like that's the big thing right there with Tulane and they lost to Oklahoma when Oklahoma was really bad.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, Oklahoma kind of handled them a little bit, like looking at that game.
They dog walked them in that game, didn't they?
The score wasn't crazy, but the result on the field, like watching it, Oklahoma was better than them, kind of from start to finish.
Arnold was just like giving away touchdowns and stuff and keeping teams in it. Early Jackson this year. I agree though on Arizona State. They win the conference. I think they deserve to be in. If somehow Colorado squeezed that game and won it, they would put them in. I think.
Yeah, they would.
If they would have won the Kansas game?
Yeah, if they win the conference, they could squeak in that game somehow. They get lucky this weekend.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Who do they play? Who does Colorado play this weekend?
I don't even know.
Probably
I
Colorado.
have no idea.
They play Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma
Oh,
State's conference right now, so I don't think they'll. I don't think they have anything to worry about. But we'll see. A lot of people didn't think they had anything to worry about with Kansas, and Kansas came out and punched them in the mouth.
Kansas played them physical as shit too.
It's better than
Kansas has almost got 3 ranked wins in a row. They
Yeah.
they've put together a solid month here of good football.
Yeah, Leipold said, "Hey, guess what? I'm still a great coach, and I'll show you why." And like you said, cranking off ranked wins like that in a row, and literally messing up Colorado's dreams because Colorado was in the driver's seat for the Big 12 for a minute.
yeah. And Arizona State, they got Arizona this week, which not that Arizona's very good, but you got an in-state rivalry with the team get hot on offense.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get to it. Let's give our offensive and defensive players for our team so far since the season is coming up on the end. There is one game left, but I don't think one game may determine who our offensive defensive MVPs are. But hey, then again, you never know. Maybe somebody steps up bigger than normal. Buddha, let's start with you and your LSU Tigers. Who we got?
Yeah, so it wasn't really hard for me. And you had texted us today, and I kind of knew my answer immediately. My offensive MVP is Aaron Anderson. He kind of was a non-factor last year. He went to Alabama in a high school from Edna Carr, transferred back. Last year wasn't a lot. This year he's been the best receiver on LSU's team in terms of production and in terms of big play moments. Even when LSU had, in that stretch of the 3 games, like he was the best option. He had a touchdown against A&M and Florida. He's just been Mr. Reliable, just playmaker, hometown kid. He's my offensive MVP. And on defense, the guy that came to mind initially was Braden Swinson. So I'm going to give 2 guys a little credit here. Braden Swinson is my MVP on the defense. Braden Swinson has been the edge rusher that LSU has needed for five years now. Like, he's the best edge rusher they've had since the 2019 year. He's like objectively a good edge rusher. He's going to be an NFL guy. He's been great this year. He was on pace at one point to set the record at LSU for sacks in a season. He's had a couple dominant games, and even in the games where LSU didn't look good, he looked really good. And then my other guy for LSU, kind of my unsung hero, I'll give him that, is Zy Alexander, the cornerback. Like, everybody kind of beats up on LSU secondary the last couple of years. This guy's been one of the best cornerbacks in the country quietly. He's just been truly a lockdown guy. He's just been the staple of just like reliability back there. And I want to say he hasn't given up a touchdown this year. So it'd be Aaron Anderson and Braden Swinson, and my honorable mention would be Zy Alexander.
Got it. What about you, Bo? Who you got for your Fighting Irish?
Yep. So, for the Irish, as many of you are probably going to find surprising, I'm not going to go with Riley Leonard. Although dual threat quarterback, great player. I'm definitely going to be rolling with our sophomore phenom at running back, loving Jeremiah Love and the absolute clinic he's been putting on week in and week out. Actually just tied the school record for consecutive touchdowns. So he's gotten one every week past 11 weeks. Obviously next week will break the record. And obviously an electric performance for him against Army, 7 carries, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns this past week kind of solidified that for me. Can't wait to see what more he's got in the future for him, but kid runs incredibly hard, has great breakaway runs. Little bit different play style than what I was used to last year with Audric Estime under center, of course. The absolute wrecking ball he was, but Love gets out in space, very shifty, great player. Now defensively, this one's kind of hard. So I've got a couple soft spots for a couple guys, but I mean, I gotta go with the best defensive player in the country last year, and I gotta roll with my boy Xavier Watts. Plays great over the top, incredibly hard hitter, makes great plays on the ball, off the ball. I mean, he dude does it all. I mean, honestly, kind of reminisces me a little bit of Kyle Hamilton when we had him before he got drafted. But yeah, Watts is that dude. So can't wait to kind of see where he ends up getting drafted after this season.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I think me and Shawnee will probably have the same picks when it comes to Texas. Buddha pretty much nailed it on his head whenever he said it earlier today. As soon as he said it, he said, "I can't wait to hear Gunnar Helm and John A. Barron." Or actually, what did he say? He said John Day Walker. Whoever John Day Walker is, you got credit with Buddha. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's probably going to be both of ours. Shawnee can say his own too. It might be different. But talk about having an incredible year at tight end in Gunnar Helm. He showed up, showed out. He's a leading receiver for the team, leading the team in receiving yards. But a lot of people kind of overlooked him when we lost JT Sanders. People kind of just like, oh, well, now what are they going to do at tight end? They thought that Black from the transfer from Alabama was going to come in and kind of take over, and Gunnar Helm had other plans, and turned out big. He is like Quinn's go-to guy when he needs a touchdown or when he needs to make something happen, and he makes it happen. And John A. Barron can't say anything bad about this kid. This kid has played lights out all year. Came back for a senior year, took the number 7 from Huff to represent it. It's a number that he always wanted to wear as a kid. He did post about that earlier last week as well. And then just kind of held it down and kind of is a front runner for the Thorpe Award. Dude has played lights out, has not given up a touchdown all year, has 4 interceptions, 41 tackles and a sack, and he's just playing lights out ball. He is the key defensive playmaker in that secondary. And it was cool to see all of the defense kind of rally around him for this Thorpe Award. I don't know if any of y'all saw it, but Michael Taft had a John A. Barron for Thorpe Award shirt. So did Makuba. I think Anthony Hill did as well. And then they said when you turn to John A. to see what John A. was wearing, he's wearing a Quinn Ewers shirt, repping for Quinn. I was like, that's awesome. Which is also good to see because him and Quinn competed so hard with each other throughout summer practices. They got into a couple altercations during practices. That was brought up and mentioned a lot, but that's my 2 that I'm gonna roll with. Shawnee, who you got?
So I got 2 different ones. On the defensive side of the ball, I think the defensive player in the country is Anthony Hill Jr. 79 tackles, 7.5 sacks, whatever it is. He's got let me see. I just pull up his stats right now. 79 tackles, 38 solo, 7.5 sacks, 40 total sack yards, an interception, 4 forced fumbles, which leads the SEC. He's the most versatile linebacker in America. I think he got snubbed on the Butkus Award. That's an upperclassman award, obviously. I think he's the best defensive player in the country and the most important player on the Longhorns roster. My honorable mention was John A. Barron. You've already said everything about him, but him calling his shot on the Thorpe Award was fucking gangster. And I think he's going to win it. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I'm going to go with Trey Wisner. Trey, nobody in the world thought he would take over as the lead back. He has 626 total yards. He's the most reliable guy. He's the one that doesn't put it on the ground. And he's just so much better than he's supposed to be by his profile and his measurables. He breaks a lot of tackles, which you wouldn't think he would do. He's a smaller guy. He's incredibly reliable in pass blocking. He's way better at pass blocking than every other running back. He's the smallest guy. He just defines toughness. Waco / DeSoto area that he grew up in. He really epitomizes it. And then my honorable mention offensively, actually Matthew Golden. With Matthew Golden's 8 touchdowns and no drops this season, he doesn't have a single drop. Been incredibly clutch. Touchdowns come in the most important moments, you feel like. And then in every big game we play, like he gets 2 of them or has a big day. And then he's just cooler than a man. All his photos, everything that he takes, he's just dripped out, dripped to the gills, cooler than the other side of the pillow. Matthew Golden's my honorable mention on offense.
Absolutely. And then I'll tell you who probably could have stole the offensive MVP if they would have stayed healthy. And a lot of people kind of overlooked him all year is DeAndre Moore.
Yeah.
DeAndre Moore was making big catches and big touchdown passes when we needed, when everyone forgot about it. But him and Bond have been kind of shaken up for the majority of the year, or in the past few games. They're both hopefully coming into this A&M game healthy, so we'll see how it plays out. That's kind of all I got, guys. Y'all got anything else y'all want to give them?
That's all I got.
That's it, guys. That's all we got for y'all today. We're going into rivalry week. About to finish up the regular season and get ready for the playoffs. Should be super fun moving forward because it's going to be interesting to shake out to see where people end up, what bowl games they end up going to. Buddha said something about LSU possibly playing TCU or Nebraska. I would prefer them to play Nebraska because I think that would be a more entertaining game. I think if they play TCU, they probably just slap TCU around. I know it'd probably be more to you because I know you got family that does coach at at TCU, so it'd
Yeah.
probably be fun for you to watch. But I'd love to see y'all match up against Nebraska. I think that'd be a fun game, fun game to watch. But we'll see how it plays out. That's all we got for y'all tonight, guys. You got anything else for them, fellas?
Yeah, fuck the Trojans. USC's getting their ass whipped this week. All right, that's it.
All right, guys. We'll catch y'all tomorrow, or actually, probably if you're watching this and listening, we'll see y'all tonight for the college football rankings. Y'all have a good one. Hook 'em.
First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. Y'all better listen up. This sports talk talking tough. So if you got a cup, go on and raise it up. I'll raise one with you as we talk about the sports. It's raining stats and rumors. Let us give you the report. This is First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces.